Now I'm going to talk about what to look for, whether you need to look for a small town home or a secluded retreat. I know there are people out there who disagree with me, and they think you have to be out in the sticks where nobody can reach you and completely secluded. And I agree, that's where I'm going to go. But I know there's sometimes a small town home is going to be the best that you can do. And the reasons for that is, one, if you're elderly or disabled, living in the mountains, living in the wilderness area, it takes a lot of physical stamina. Maybe you don't have a lot of homesteading skills. Let's get real. You have to go out there and you have a piece of property and you have to build up from there, and there's a lot of skills required. And maybe you don't have time, you feel you don't have time, or you haven't learned these skills over the years. You might be better off buying a already built home in a small town and going from there. And the third reason is if you have very little money. Because even though you can get these properties really, really cheaply, there are a lot more available in small towns that have been foreclosed upon, for example, than there is vacant land, because vacant land is a lot less likely to have one of these subprime mortgages on it, just to be honest with you. So another reason might be because you can't afford to buy and build a retreat. And I think it's better, personally, to own something free and clear that you can keep no matter what, than to have a mortgage on a piece of property. You borrowed on the property, you put your own money into the structure, there's a foreclosure, and someone like me comes and buys your property and sells it to some rich guy. And I do believe it's better to own a little house in town on the edge of a huge forest than to lose a retreat that you used to own in that forest. Now let's go to paying for your retreat. We know what to look for now. We've decided whether or not we're going to go with a small town home or a secluded piece of property. One way is home equity line of credit. A few people still have these, and if you do, I think it's a good idea to tap it now, because you can buy another piece of property, and if everything collapses, you'll have one piece paid for, and one piece you won't have any equity in anyway. Second way, installment loan or credit cards. I don't like these because they're high. The rates of interest are high. But time is of the essence. And if the only way you can get a free and clear piece of property is to get an installment loan, then do it. Buy your property, as long as you can make the payments and keep your credit up until whatever happens, happens. The third way is to sell shares. See, once you have a place, unlike trying to form an organization to buy a place, once you have a place that people can see, at least see pictures of and maybe a video of, because you don't want to tell everybody where your retreat is, then it's easier to attract others to invest. And, for example, that 4-bedroom property we looked at for $4,500. It's a 4-bedroom property. You could sell 3 shares to 3 different families. They would each have their own bedroom. Say you sold them for $3,000 a piece, that's $9,000 coming in to pay for that property and to get it in shape. And finally, my favorite is retirement accounts. You have this money sitting in your retirement account, and I sincerely discourage people from spending it on things that go down in value, on just monthly expenses. Although the economy, some people have to. There are a couple ways you can tap your retirement account tax-free. The first way is to borrow against your retirement account. And I know a few people that's done that this year. They've borrowed against their retirement account either to buy a retreat, free and clear, or to buy silver and gold. What they've done is diversified their investment. And I think on a $10,000 loan, the payments are around like $100 a month sometimes, depending on how far out they'll let you go. Another way that you can tap your retirement account tax-free is you can roll over a retirement plan from a former employer or from a regular IRA to a self-directed IRA. And I'll include a link at singlefocuschurch.com for that. And you can roll your retirement plan into a self-directed IRA. There is a small annual fee to manage that from your custodian, but you can purchase property, real estate with that. You're not supposed to use it while it's in there. That's a taxable event. But if you're just holding property, for later use, it's certainly fine to use a self-directed IRA. Next thing you want to do after you found your retreat and found out how to purchase your retreat and get a clear deed is to protect your retreat. And this is very difficult to do if you borrowed money to buy it because now there's a lien on it. And in some states, like Florida comes to mind, there's a homestead exemption. It's exempt from bankruptcy. I remember when O.J. Simpson had the judgment against him in civil court. So he moved to Florida. Therefore, his home would not be attachable. But for most of us, we're going to have to do something active. One is a limited liability company or partnership. You can actually transfer the other 99% to your descendants over the years using the $10,000 or $20,000 for a married couple exemption. Transfer that to the kids every year. You still have complete control because you're the 1% managing partner. Another way is a land trust. And an attorney can set one of these up for you, but you have to have a trustee again. Your attorney can act as trustee, but the cool thing about using a self-directed IRA is you already have a trustee built into the self-directed IRA. I just got some final thoughts on finding a survival retreat, paying for that survival retreat, and protecting that survival retreat. And my first advice is to put first things first. You see in my list of 5 priorities, and they're very general, God is first. And by God, I mean an independent source of values and standards of behavior. And that's all I mean for this video. Secondly, grub, which I mean food and water and ways to purify water. You know, I don't store a lot of water because I live between a lake and a river, and I can purify water, and I have rainwater collection system, and I have a cistern. Tap your spheres of influence. Go with who you know, who you can meet through different venues. And I think right now preparedness is about to go mainstream. So be specific. Be specific about where you want to live, what you want to buy, because there are too many good deals to consider them all. Often I see people asking, where should I live? Where should I live? Well, I don't know where you should live, but I do know that there are a lot of deals almost everywhere. And of course, markets are different. You know, a good deal in one area is not a good deal in another area. But don't build the best retreat that the bank ever owned. The great thing about America is that we get to choose when we're young whether to become a borrower or lender when we're older. And the secret to that is discipline. And finally, just shield your property from your other assets and your other activities and make it a true retreat.